For the latest coronavirus-related information from our Lincoln University Cooperative Extension and Research COVID-19 Response Team, please visit http://bit.ly/LUCERCOVID19 or call the response team toll-free at 1-888-986-2990.
My name is Eleazar Gonzalez. I work for Lincoln University. And today we are going to continue with the Garden Entrepreneurship webinar series. Today the topic is about our ecological pest control management. And our speaker of today is Dr. Clement Atkinson Mensah. He is a state extension specialist for Missouri. He was working before coming to Lincoln University on New Jersey. Now he is graduate from Harvard University. He is from Ghana. And I'm going to pass the microphone to him. In this case, thank you, Dr. Clement. Please go ahead and start the presentation.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Gonzalez. First of all, I want to say thank you to all for coming. So in the next 30 or so minutes, I'm going to talk to you about some basic principles when we talk about ecological pest management. So, and my team, for doing a good job, and then my director, associate director for extension, and all stakeholders, that we work with. And in fact, everyone on this webinar, I want to say that I appreciate you coming. We thank you so much for what you do. And we are all in this, whole, business of agriculture. So thank you so much. So I'm going to give a brief, outline. This is the outline of my presentation. I'll give an introduction and to this, tell you about the pest concept. When we say a pest, what do we mean? And then the landscape patterns that we see, because most of us, when we are growing, we grow on a landscape, on the land. So how those things affect pest management and what a typical home and urban garden looks like. Maybe talk to you about how those arrangements can influence some of the things that we do when we are, when we want to protect our plants from insect pests. And some requirements, some terminologies in pest management, try to explain that to you. And also addressing why we have high dependence on agricultural inputs, such as pesticide, and some of the reasons why we think that bringing in agroecological pest management is important because of the high dependence on agrochemicals. And some examples of some of the strategies that we can be using to control our pests in a garden setting. So that is the outline. So this lady who was an entomologist, her cousin, said that in nature, nothing exists alone. So we know that if we have a food web, everyone is connected to something. And for me, if you look at this as a food web, those that are the higher trophic level, those, who are the top here, the higher trophic levels, and then the middle ones, and then the basic ones, which are the plants. But as an entomologist, I'm interested in this level. So if you look at this, food web, if we eliminate everything here, it means that there's no life. The life up here will not exist. It means we need insects to survive. And in fact, over 90% of insects are good. Many people think that insects are bad, but more than 90% of every insect that you see is a good insect. And the reason is that they pollinate our crops, and pollination is a huge business in the United States. people move bees from, state to state to just pollinate people's orchards, and it is a lot of money. In fact, it's estimated that we have about 50 billion, industry for just pollinators. And then we also know that insect can be used for food. Honey, if you have taken honey, you know that, and silk. These are all things that insects produce, which is very, very important for us and good as people. Now, the pest concept, one of my professors said that there's no pest. There's nothing in the world that is pest. We, as human beings, we consider some insects who are doing their own thing in the ecosystem as pests. The reason is that because they compete with us for the food that we want, so the cabbage that we want, the tomato that we want, in a way, they also have to eat and survive. But because we also want it, we classify them as enemies. But indeed, they are not enemies. They are doing something within the ecosystem. So as I showed you in the food web, they are there, to do something for us, to connect each one of us. So it is important to have that understanding so that when you are, controlling insect, you know exactly, what to do. But as we know, we have evolved from, manual agriculture to now we are doing green revolution, green agriculture. And what green agriculture is about is that you have all your plants, a large field planted to soybean, corn, and those things create environments for certain insects that live or that feed on specific insect or specific plants or crops to grow well. So for some of us, certain insects could be pests, but for other people, insects may be food. So we say that the definition of what a pest is anthropomorphic. Anthropomorphic means that it is human-centered. Human beings have classified certain insects as pests because we don't like them. But that is not the case. They are within the system. And as I said, some insects could be pests for you, but in certain places, they could be delicacy. This is locust. Locust is a huge pest in Africa. At certain times, they are pests. And some people in Africa also eat the same insect that we say they are pests. So in this situation, some are using as food, some are classifying as pests. That is how the pest concept is all about. So there's nothing like a pest, as I did mention earlier. So if you look at the landscape pattern as we have moved on, first of all, maybe several years ago when we started domestication, the land could probably look like that with some few villages. And then because we started domestication, we got some plants, and then some people started cutting the forest, and they put corn there, they put tomato there. And because they are only tomato, the insect that feed on tomato will increase, definitely, because they have more food, they have more things to do, and they are happy. And then suddenly they go up, and then we say that they are pests. They start eating our plants. But as we progress on, sometimes we had orchards in cities, which we see some plants, but we progress, and then now we have huge, big cities that there is even no diversity. So people are talking about now going back to green cities where we create cities and we have artificial plants. We plant and then we create an artificial ecosystem. All of these things, affect the way we control insects, because depending on the setting that we have. For instance, if you take this setting, for instance, you have peach, you have corn, you have all this. If you go to New Jersey, they call the place Garden State. It is a setting like this. And we see human interaction with orchards, and people spray a lot. So people get into contact with some of these, some of these chemicals, and it becomes serious. So it is important for us to move from what we've been doing to a more ecological based, pest management, where we understand the system, the ecosystem, for the system itself to work and then control the pest. Because if you take this forest, for instance, you go there, you don't see any insect, because some insects go up, another will come and eat it up, and then there's that interaction. So there is always some equilibrium within this system. And that is what we want. Because here you don't apply any insecticide, you don't apply any input, any artificial input. The system itself is working. So this is what we want to bring back to ensure that we understand the system, because knowledge has increased, we'll be able to understand it and bring back ecological way of doing things. So that is the basis of my presentation now. Now, if you go to somewhere, or those of you who are doing farming, this is a typical, farming system or a garden that you find. Here you see somebody planting cabbage and with, onions intercropped, and then you see some plants here. But if you come to this particular one, you see he has his own bed, nice bed with onion, and then another bed with, with cabbage, and then the tomato is here, and maybe pepper is here. So this system, even though it's a garden, it is still the monocrop type that we are doing. You see, because we have a monocrop here, the insects here will do well. Those that feed on this will also do well. But if you come to this particular person, that person is mixing the onion with the cabbage. And in this case, you are able to, maybe the onion, the scent from the onion will, weigh or keep this insect away. So that is what we want to understand, how we can build this system such that we will not repeat the monocropping that we've been doing. So if you take this picture, for instance, it has a lot of vegetables grown. Yes, one will be good, one will be bad, so that we can balance out. Here we have some flowers here growing, we have some plants growing. So we want to understand the whole system such that the system itself will help us. So in a place like this, there will be pollinators there, there will be natural enemies there, and you probably may not even find pests. So those are the things that I want to talk to you about. And this is a typical urban garden. We see this when you travel, you see this in our communities. People have vineyards and they plant several plants or flowering plants to make sure that they increase the diversity instead of just putting your grape plant and then leave the whole system like a monocrop. So this is what we want all of us to understand. This is a vegetable garden with more diversity, which means that the system can work together to bring in some stability within the system. Now this is Jefferson City Community Garden. I've been monitoring insect there. I went there. I've been going there every week. If you go there and you have many people doing all sorts of things there, planting. Some will plant and leave. So here you see somebody planted and left it. This person is now planting. So it is important to understand this particular landscape, how you can manage your pest. So a person who is planting here must know what is going on here, so that whatever is going to plant, you'll be able to understand that there are insects here who are growing and doing good on the tomato. So if we put tomato here again, this insect will move and come here. So you have to understand the landscape to be able to even select the plant that you grow. So this is something that we have to understand as homeowners, as home gardeners. We understand the strategy, not just putting any plant there, but you understand the system itself. So here, that person left, that place bushy with insects hiding. So here is a good place for Japanese beetle, for instance. So if you are planting here, they will move and then come. So we have to understand, as I said, a good and a healthy plant requires that we understand that we have to mulch, we have to give it food, green manure. We have to do all sorts of things for the plant to do well. And once the plant is doing well, things like pests will be reduced. So it is important for us to understand that our plants should always look healthy by looking at our soil, looking at our nutrient that we give to the plant, so that the plant will be healthy and the pests will even come down. So what is pest agrochemical or agroecological pest management that we are talking about? Many people interchange this with integrated pest management. They are almost the same, but there is a slight difference. If you talk about integrated pest management, we are talking about ecosystem-based strategy that focuses on long-term prevention of pests. So it's a long-term prevention of pests and their damage through a combination. So the important is through a combination of tactics. So you are putting different tactics together. When one doesn't work, you use the other. But in agroecological pest management, it is a science-based principle which will allow you to understand the ecology of the insect. The ecology of the insect, that is where the insect is living. You have to understand it before you be able to control that. So, if you look at the word agroecology, it comes from two words. Agro means something related to agriculture. Ecology is the study of organisms in relation to their environment. So every organism has an environment that it lives. And wherever that the environment that the insect or the organism lives, we can use certain issue or certain things within the insect environment to be able to control it. So by doing that, then we are doing agroecological based management or pest management. So is this the same as IPM, alternative pest management? No, but the differences are just slight in terms of the approach. So what are the basic requirements for agroecological pest management? First, as I said, you have to understand the insects, the environment. So if you have a plant here, this plant has too many insects here and a pollinator. So you should understand this plant and everything that occurs here to be able to control all the insects that you find on this insect, on the plant, sorry. But as consumers, many consumers want clean food that is very clean, no blemish. It is unblemished. And this is why many people are putting insecticide. Many growers put insecticide because they want to satisfy you by giving you the clean plant that you want, clean food that you want. And that comes with a cost. That comes with a huge cost because of health issues, because of the environment, and we don't want to do that. So it is important for us to go back to our system of planting such that the nature itself will do the job for us. So consumers must be able to accept some damage. This is damage due to trip, but this damage is just superficial. So you could buy this, cut it, and then eat it, and you'll be okay. This is not disease. This cabbage has frass from butterfly, caterpillar. You can remove the first coat, and the cabbage will be nice, good for you, instead of trying to put insecticide and then contaminating the fruit, which is something that we should consider as growers. So for IPM, it builds on certain principles. You have to prevent, cultural control, biological control. So these are all IPM issues. But in doing IPM, you have to also understand the ecology of the insect to be able to understand, do IPM. So agroecological based pest management is under IPM, is one of the IPM principles that we can use. So that is something that we have to take into account. We have to really look at it and then understand. So cultural practices, what is cultural practices? It is the foundation of every pest management. You have to first of all understand that whenever you are going to plant, you have to create good sanitation, remove all debris, don't create places that insects can hide and overwinter. These are things that you should be doing. These are fundamental things. Your soil health management should be good, and you can use several things to be able to do to then achieve your goal of controlling pests. So before you even decide to plant anything, you should understand the plant. You should really understand the plant, and you can select all of these crop spacing. If they say the distance between the plant is 1 foot, use that. Don't do 4 or 5. Just use the spacing that is required, or don't do something which is smaller. These are things that you have to understand too, because they all affect how pests behave in the field. So before you go into any pest control management or any insect pest management, you should have some tools for monitoring. The monitoring will help you, in fact, to be able to determine whether the insects are there. So there are several equipment that you can use. This is sweep net, And I have here, if you can see, I have a sticky trap. This sticky trap has yellow here and then blue. We can use traps like this. There are certain traps here that you can also use. This is a trap for bees and then yellow jackets. It's there. You know, there's another trap here. This is blue vein trap, which you can use to, you know, monitor bees. So there are monitoring tools that you should learn and then use them, because they are effective in telling you what is going on in your pest management. So as I said, you know, the cards, you have some traps, several traps. So I'm not going to go into that, but there are several traps that are available. If you need, you can contact me and I can show you some of them. So what are some of the strategies in trying to do agroecological pest management without pesticide? Because that is our goal. Our goal is to ensure that with the system itself work for itself, and then we are able to maintain a balance such that we will not use, you know, a lot of insecticide. So there are several ways, and I'm going to talk about these few: trap cropping strategy, push and pull tactics, attract and kill strategy, mass trapping, and then farmscaping to improve pollination, and then biological control. These are things that you can do such that you'll be able to maintain your plant and at the same time reduce the use of pesticide, which is our goal, as I mentioned. So for trap cropping, the idea is that you plant a plant, or you grow a plant which is more attractive to the insect. So this one, it has, you know, this is pepper. It has, you know, sunflower around it. So the goal is that when the insect is moving from somewhere into your plant, they will be blocked by this. There's also the strip interplant trap crop. Here you put your crops, you know, so these are the crop that you want, and you put your trap crop around the crops. So these are strip, and this is perimeter. You do it around your plant, the plant. So this is the main plant or the main crop, and then this is the trap crop. So in a trap crop setting, this work was done in Alabama. So if, you know, the results of this particular work showed that if you put turnip around cabbage, your cabbage will be free from any insect. So it is a trap crop. You know, the turnip is a trap crop for the, you know, the cabbage. So this is how the trap crop, this is your cash crop that you want, and this is the trap crop. So you see the trap crop, you know, the insect will feed on that and not on your main crop. So if you want cabbage, this is the cabbage. You plant turnip around cabbage, and you are sure to have your cabbage without any insect. So the idea is that this is just animation that I want to show you. So this is a peach orchard. There's an insect moving from the forest here into the peach, you know. So so this insect here will move from here without any obstacle. It will come here. But if you put a trap crop there, so this is your trap crop around your peach orchard, or it could be anything, but it's just to illustrate how trap crop, the mechanism of trap cropping. So this insect, you know, so this is the insect which is coming from the orchard. This insect is moving from the forest there. The trap crop must be able to maintain the insect in the trap crop so that it will not get into the orchard. So that is the idea. So this insect, and at the same time, the trap crop should be able to attract the insect in your field, in your main crop, into the trap crop, so that here you can be able to control the, you know, the insect without necessarily putting your pesticide or insecticide in the orchard. So this is the idea of a trap crop, and people have used this to control a lot of insects. You can collard around cabbage can also work. Cherry pepper around bell pepper can also work as a trap crop. So these are all examples. So we have types of summer trap crops that you can use: buckwheat, sunflower. These are all summer crops that you can plant as trap crop for your vegetables. And then we have winter trap crops. We have winter pea, oats, you know, rye, wheat. You can use all of these to, you know, as trap crop for your vegetables or for your tree fruit crop. There is also the push-pull pest management strategy. The push-pull strategy means that you have to have a system such that, you know, the insect will be repelled by something, because some insects don't like certain scents. So you put a scent there that will repel, push the insect away in your crop. And then there should be a point to attract those insects that are being repelled. So you push them and then you pull them. And then where you have pulled the insect to, you can control this insect where you have pulled them. So that is, you know, so this is an example of a push and pull strategy. So you have a trap crop here, here is a trap crop, but you put some crop within this to push all the insects, or you can put a compound, a chemical in the plant to push all the insects. And as they are pushed away from the plant, the main crop that you want, because this is the main crop that you want, you are pushing them away, but there should be something to attract them. And this plant is the one that is to attract them. And once they stay there, you can go there and then, you know, control the insect in this instead of your main crop. This is the same idea as the trap crop, but you know, in this case, there's a push-pull sort of strategy. And then there is also attract and kill strategy. It's the same idea here. What you do is that you find a location and you put a scent that the insect likes, you know, and then you put it on one plant. So many of the insects will go to the plant, and then you use your chemical to control them instead of, you know, putting the chemical on all the plants. So this is a strategy that we can use. So this is attract and kill. So you attract them and kill them. And the other one is push and pull. These are all strategies that we can use. And there are so many plants that can be used to do that. And then mass trapping, particularly for Japanese beetle. So this study was done by my predecessor, Dr. Pinero. And, you know, here you can mass trap the insect. You put a scent. This is a flower volatile and the sex pheromone. You put them together and the insect will come in numbers. So this whole container is filled with insect. So there is a way that we can, you know, attract the insect in masses, and then we'll be able to control them, you know, using that method. So this is, as you see here, look at the peach plant with all the Japanese beetles on. So if you have a trap there, you can mass trap them and then you kill them. And then there is also the idea of farmscaping. I showed this earlier on. Farmscaping is an integrated way of doing farming. And what you do is that you want to encourage the good insects to come into your field so that they will control the bad insect for you. So you put a plant that the good insect like. Here, flowering plant, because most of the good insects, they want to feed on nectar, and the nectar is produced by flowers. So once you provide the nectar and the flowers, they will come there in numbers and they will control your pest for you. And as we know, that as I said, not all insects are bad. Some insects look alike, but one is good, one is bad. So this is a brown stink bug, and then this is a predatory, you know, insect. One is good, this one is good, this one is bad. This one is good, this one is bad. You see, they are the same color. So if you see them in your field, you may think that they are all insects. No, they are not. The way you can show is that the good one has pointed shoulder, the bad one has round shoulder. And there are several of these that you should be able to know this. So if you don't know this, and then you put in any insecticide, that will kill the bad ones and the good ones in addition. So it is important to do that, to know. And for good one, their mouth, this is the mouth part of the good one. It's strong and stout. This is thin. It's thin because they want to use it to pierce into the plant and suck. So it should be needle-like. But here, this insect will have to feed on this. So it has to have a strong beetle, front mouth, to be able to capture it and then, you know, eat the insect. So in conclusion, I want us to look at the bigger picture of what we're doing. Everything that we do, we have to understand that plants, animal, microorganism, every organism, they live in an environment, and we are all interconnected. So everything that we do, we have to understand and then make sure that we increase the ability of the good insect to do well and the bad insect to do, you know, to be eliminated. And we can do that by using the ecology of the, you know, of the organism to determine that. So as I'm saying, I'm bring my, my presentation to an end. I want to say that our past, present, and future is intimately tied to, the environment, and there is a need to maintain that balance. Thank you very much, and these are the references of, So thank you, and if you have any question, I'm ready to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Clement. Very good presentation. It gets us very well connected to the relationship of the garden and how we can manage our insects and also the product we are going to collect from the garden. Yeah, we are opening the session for questions and responses. Everybody is going to be up. Let's see, I'm going to move everybody here. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to ask you to talk about what people can do in their yards to reduce the amount of Japanese beetles in their yard. I understand that they need a lot. They love mow grass. So I just want to ask you if you have anything. I mean, if you can talk about it.
Yeah. You see, the Japanese beetle, it has its cycle of development. It has egg. The adult female will lay egg, and then the egg will develop into larva. And the larva will develop into a pupa, and the pupa will develop into an adult. So all these three, or the four stages that I've talked about, only the adult leave, you can see only the adult. The rest are in the soil. So the female adult will lay its egg in the soil. And where they prefer to lay their egg is on grasses. And as you know, all over the place, there are a lot of grasses. So all these insects that you see here, they will just feed. All they are doing is damage your plants, mates, and then find a grass, go there, lay their egg, and the grass, the larvae will develop in the soil. So then how then do we control them? We can only control them by targeting the adult. So if you have the adult, you have to kill it. You can kill the adult. But to get the larvae in the soil, you have to either do drench with a chemical. So we have BT, we have several chemicals that you can use, which are good. But as you know, look at all these things. How many grasses do we have? So it is always a challenge. But in your garden, you have to be able to control them by, first of all, looking at your grasses. Sometimes if you go to your grasses and you see patches of dead grasses in your around, it should tell you that you have Japanese beetle larvae growing. So you can either remove them by digging the soil and taking them out, or drench, or put a lot of water or chemical into it, and then they will die. Or what you can do is to buy some of these shrubs, put it in your yard, not close to your plant or crop, because you are going to attract these insects into this trap. And as they are coming, if they find any plants around or crop around, they can stay there and then feed on. So the bottom line is that start controlling them in your grasses. And once you are successful in doing that, the adult will not come. And if you are not successful and the adult is able to come out, then you use mass trapping to control them, or you can use some chemicals. I don't want to mention any chemical, but any chemicals like organic, they are all organic. You can use that to control them. So I think that is what I can say. And we have a challenge, so it is all of us. It is for all of us to be on board to control this insect, because as I said, look at the grasses that we have. There are many grasses, different types. But certain grasses are more susceptible than others. I know that Zoya grass or Zosia grass, they are highly, susceptible. Some grasses like centipede, Kentucky bluegrass. So depending on the grass that you even use, the variety or the hybrid that you use is very important. So whenever you are going to buy a grass in your orchard or in your in your yard, please consult somebody who knows about insects, because they can come there and then lay their eggs and then develop and affect your plants. Have I answered your question, Dr. Nadia?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just want to add that what Sarah just mentioned about the importance of adding native plants in yards, so that most of them are perennials, so that would help to control to reduce the grass and or the lawn grass in yards, and it would help. It would bring the pollinators. But grasses are not going anywhere. But at least we can try.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
It seems like
I have two questions. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, I have two questions.
Please go ahead.
My first question is on what you covered first, and maybe I didn't quite get it. When you were talking about cabbage and planting turnips nearby.
Okay.
Do you have it out there? The one with okay, I think you'd shown it with cabbage and then turnips.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yes.
Now, maybe I didn't catch it, but I didn't quite understand how the insects would go to the turnip and not to the cabbage.
Okay. So this idea, we call this sharp cropping.
Mm-hmm.
Sharp cropping. Sharp cropping means that you are planting a crop that is more preferred by the insect than the crop that you want.
Okay.
So as a researcher, I want cabbage. Because I want cabbage, I've planted another plant, turnip, around the cabbage, so that when the insect is coming to my cabbage, the insect would like to eat my cabbage. But because I have turnip there that the insect likes better, come to the turnip and then leave my cabbage.
Okay. So if you want to be planting the turnips, what then do you do?
Yes, then you have to find we have to find another trap crop for that. You have to, there are certain plants you might probably not get a good trap crop, because they are so attractive to insects that you can't do that. So it is not all situations that you can use trap cropping, but then there are other ways to also control insects on this turnip by applying some light insecticide that is not too harmful to other good insects. So as I said, yeah, there's differences.
So my question now is to Eliezer. So in the manual, will it show to say for this plant or for this vegetable, this is the trap crop you can use? Are those examples there?
Yes, I can. Yeah. I forgot to that there is information on that I can provide. There are a lot of plants that we have trap crop, or we have farm skipping plants for. It's there. The research has been done to show when you are planting this, use this.
Okay. Then my last question: can wood ash be used to
control insects?
Yeah, wood ash, after a fire, you take the ash. Can the ash be used to repel any insects?
Yeah, the ash has what we call sulfur. It has some compound in it, right? The ash, so people use it to control some certain insects. It doesn't kill the insect. It just weigh them off,
repel them,
and repel them, right? Because of some compound that is in the ash. You can use it, but you should know the concentration to use. Other than that, you burn your plants, and then you have to also have a test for the plant when you use that. You know, that is my recommendation. But some people use that as, you know, control.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, you said that some pests, 90% of pests are good, but and that means 10% of pests are bad.
Yes.
And there were some pests down near our plants, and the pests were in a bird nest. It was right there in a tree next to the plant. And so I picked it up and I looked at it and I said, well, there's no birds in here. So I walked it over and put it in the compost bin.
Okay.
Now, if you can see, I have bird mites on my body.
Okay.
So is there a way to get rid of that? It's not just my arm.
Yeah, you know, if you don't know the insect, don't touch it, because, you know, some of them have compounds that when they get into your skin, you know, you can react to that.
They're under my skin.
And so that's why I said there are certain little equipment that you should have. So this is sweep net. So this net, you can use it to get insects, you know, easily. Or you can use, this is Ziploc bag. You can open it and then gently, without touching it, put it in a Ziploc bag. You know, so there are little equipment that you can have without even touching the insect. There is what we call, you know, aspirator. Aspirator is, you can suck the insect into the bottle and then use it. So, you know, as entomologists, we don't normally touch insects because you can react with it. So that you have to get some of these little things. If you want to kill the insect, this is a kill, you know, it has some ethyl acetate. You can put it in it and the insect will die instead of you killing it yourself. So those are the things that we, as entomologists, we have so that we don't touch the insects. So maybe you may want to, if you are somebody who loves insects, you might want to get some of these. They are not too expensive. They are not very expensive, about $5 or $2, and you can get them and use them.
Thank you.
Hey, Dr. Clement, when you show the other tools you had in your office, I don't know if everybody was able to see them. You want to make a demonstration with those?
Oh, okay, so I say I have, you know, this one is for bees. So this is called a blue vein trap. Blue vein trap. If you want to see the type of bees that you have, you can use this. This one will tell you the type of bees. But if you put water in this, the bees will die. So you have to be, you know, make sure that there's no water in it, because I did this, I traveled and it rained, and when I came, look at the bees. You see, all these bees are dead. I was not around. So you have to be making sure that the bees will not die, and then you can look at them and see the type that they are there. And this is important because each bee has a way of pollinating your crop. You have carpenter bee, honey bee, you have several bees. So you want to know, as a researcher, I research to know which bees are good for which plant. Some bees are minor. Sweat bees, for instance, you can do a lot. They are efficient in pollination. So you want to leave those ones there. And of course, you want to also make sure that there is a law in this country that when plants are blooming, you don't spray. So you don't spray because you will kill your bees. The bees are important. So you want to make sure that you know when the bees are moving, when they are coming, and then you know that you don't have to spray. I have another trap here. This trap is for yellow jackets. You know, some of the wasps that we have that are disturbing us, you can put this and then they'll enter the hole here and drop here and they will die. And then, as I said, I have yellow sticky cards. There are different types of sticky cards. This one, you can use this for thrips and aphids. because it has different color, blue here and then yellow here. There is another one here. This one is all yellow. This one is yellow only. You know, so each one has, and also I have green. There is green here, different colors, because insects use different wavelengths to get to where they want. That's why we have different colors, because green has a different wavelength than yellow, so that you will be able to be selective in terms of some of the insects that you. So this afternoon I was talking to Dr. Nadia, and she said she doesn't like yellow sticky card because some of the good insects will get attracted. So I took yellow sticky card to the field and look at the insects that are there. Too many. Some are good, some are bad. So you should know which ones you want, and then you put them in your trap. But the butterfly you see here, these are cabbage butterfly and also alfalfa butterfly. They are bad. So you put them, and then instead of spraying, they come here and they are attached to this, and you just spray. Yeah, and then there are other traps that I have here these days. A lot of insects on it. So, you know, I mean, if you have a trap like this and every week it traps insect, this number of insects, would you definitely reduce the number. So trapping is very, very important. It's good instead of you going there to spray. But many people, because they don't want to try and go and check a trap, they go the easy way by just putting insecticide, which is not good for our agroecology. It's not good. That's what we want to discourage. But insecticide is the last resort. We always say that it is the last resort when everything fails and you cannot do anything, like the June beetle that are already taking over. You have to, that one you have to really go ahead and then control them.
Also, where people can find those traps?
Oh, okay. There are many places. We can get some of these traps from BioEquip, and then some. Yeah, I mean, Sheikh. This morning I was at Sheikh. Sheikh is in Center Town. If anybody knows there, about 25 miles from here, Sheikh farmers market or something. They have some of these products that you can get, and there are online resources that you can get several of these. So BioEquip is what I can recommend to you. And then we have Alpha Scent. If you want to buy one of the yellow sticky traps, there's a company we call Alpha Scent. Alpha Scent is good. And then Great Lakes IPM, they are in Colorado. They are also a good source that you can get some of these traps and then pheromones to buy. And then we also have Tracy, and then AgBio Inc. AgBio Inc. is also a good place that you can have traps. So those are the 5 companies that you can easily get some of these traps, and then talk to them about the use of pheromones and other traps.
Can I just go to my local Ace hardware store?
Yes, you can get some, but some products are imitation. As you know, many come from China and others, so you should know the source and be sure about the source before you use them. Yeah.
And one thing I'd like to mention, because like what Clement is talking about, the cards, that sometimes I find spiders and the wasps that are so important also for controlling. So you, like applying chemicals, you just have to be sure that you need them. No, don't just start putting cards because you think that you have an insect that is a pest. And so I just feel bad. In the greenhouses is when we use them more, but I don't know about using them outdoors. Maybe more confined locations when you have more pests. Isn't it? Do you use them outdoors and indoors?
Yeah, you can use them outdoors. And in fact, a trap is not for control. Note that any trap that you put there cannot help you to control. It is to help you, first of all, know when the insect is going to move, when they are moving, and how many is there. And then you can decide on what to do. So a trap is like a monitoring tool for you. So if you want to put yellow sticky card there to control all your insects, that is not going to be possible. But you put it there, and then once you find them, then you can think about other ways of trying to, control your insect and the type, the kind that is there. So today, when I went to the community garden, Jefferson City Community Garden, I saw a lot of Japanese beetles moving. I saw a lot of cucumber beetles moving. I saw a lot of Mexican beetles. So the trap is telling me, once I found some in the trap, I started looking on the plants, and then I found them on the plant. So that is a decision making. So then it tells me that, is the number high or low? Do I have to bring in the last resort? Can I maintain this population so that they will still not cause economic damage? Or do I need this insecticide to dog them out and then start afresh? So those are things that, as IPM or as, pest management people, we want to, do before we make a decision. So IPM is a decision-making process. It's not one way of doing things that I have to, I have to spray on Tuesday. So every Tuesday you go and spray. No, you decide on when to spray. If you have the insect, you have the insect there. And that reduces a lot of applications and a lot of health issues that we see in the use of pesticides.
What happened? Well, I guess because most of these or gardeners in the program are newer beginners. They got small gardens. It looks like they will not need like a lot of tools like you are mentioning here, but they will be able to start working in knowing how to use them in those small beds. But in what extent you can combine those plant traps with the tools to stick the insects? Like you can use both systems, right? You can combine different systems. Can you tell more about that?
Yeah. That's why I said that the basic thing to do is your cultural practice. That is the fundamental of every pest management. Your selection of seeds, site selection, planting distance, so even time of planting is important. If we are in June, June is supposed to be the highest period that most insects are high. So if you plant and you harvest in May, you have, remove a lot of insects from your crops. So all of those things are basic things that if even you are a beginning farmer, you should know. Like I showed you about the community garden. These are not experienced farmers. They are all there. Some of them are doing it for fun, others are doing, but then this guy is now preparing his land to plant. But already there are a lot of plants growing and there are insects there. So if you have to plant there, you have to think about, okay, I have tomato there, which is growing, there's insect there. So what do I grow so that those insects, if this person harvests his tomatoes, they will not move? Because by the time your tomato here grows to this level, all the insects here will move here. So it's a decision making that you have to make so that you don't expose your plant into, adverse effects like insects. So this is what we want everyone to know. So just growing is not enough, but you must understand, even this person, I don't think will know. I mean, it's fun. You want to grow some, some crop, but you should understand what is going on around them. This is a huge place. If you have visited this community garden, it's a huge place. People are doing all sorts of things there. So if you have a land there and you want to go and plant, you have to first tell yourself or ask yourself, what can I grow? This person, if your plot is here and this person has abandoned his crop with all sorts of weeds and everything, what should I do? if you put your plant here, definitely you are going to have issues here from this. So these are the things that we want you to understand, so that when you are even going into gardening, you should look around. So that's why we said agroecological based. You look at the environment, and the environment will determine what to grow and what not to grow.
Good. Well, just one point to observation for everybody. Like, we are very much acculturated to eat food coming from conventional production systems. Like, this approach of agroecological production system is very much new, and is in a development process. Like, science is getting more involved in how to use these kind of traps and plants and crop traps and tools to reduce the use of pesticides and being able to produce more food that we can trust in the content of the protein, the nutrients they have. So this is very important for us as gardeners to be able to understand the agroecological approach to produce food. And Dr. Clement is making a great job here by telling us these methods, because it's a matter of developing the habit to do that. And normally, most people go in the easy way to produce food. They just go and buy the pesticide or the insecticide and kill the insects. But also, as Kim mentioned in the presentation, they are polluting the product too. And well, if you have more questions, we can still have maybe a couple of minutes to answer. But in the meantime, would you mind to respond the post-survey evaluation I sent to everybody? I posted on the chat too. I will help us if we can your observations in the last part of this survey will be good too for us. Thank you. But one more question.
Yeah, it seems like the Japanese beetles have not been as bad the last couple of years as they were, I think, 3 years ago. Are we making some headway here, you think, on the Japanese beetle population?
Yes, we are. We are. I can see that we are, because in the past 3 or 4 years that Lincoln started the Japanese beetle programs, they were able to trap over 15 million individual insects. And that is huge. That is huge, and has brought their population down significantly. So if everybody, many people in the state are doing that, so that's why we need all of you to come together, because we wanted to even, come up with an idea so that, it can be sponsored, so that we have all these traps scattered throughout the state. If we are able to, at 1 year, we are able to have 15 million insects. That is huge to reduce their population. So first, yes, we are making headway, and we need everyone's support to get this to 0.
When do we normally start seeing Japanese beetles? Because I haven't seen it.
They started last week. They are emergence, and it's going to go up and then peak in July, and then maintain that peak until somewhere September, and then they will come down. That's where they are looking for places to overwinter and then lay their egg and then hide, then enter the soil. So, once they are in the soil, the temperature there is good for them, even when it is winter. So we don't want them to get to the, to the soil. We want to control them before. So anytime you find them, catch them, and then, just put them somewhere that they will not be able to get access to your plants.
Do you think our winters, we had a harsh winter 2 years ago. Do you think the winter affects these beetles?
That one has strong effect too, so environmental issues, have effect on insects. So both biotic and abiotic factors, temperature, humidity, rainfall, all of those things affect insects. So I've not been able to I'm now gathering the temperature records the past 30 years with the state to see how it has been. And I think we can understand why, you know, we are seeing the reduction in their numbers, but we'll keep our eye on it and then see what happens this year.
Okay, that's all I have. You know, the 3 years ago I put the traps out, and I think I invited all the Japanese beetles into my yard. It was a mess. I mean, I had garbage sacks full of these beetles. It was just absolutely terrible. And then the following year, I didn't really put any traps out, but I like the trash can. You know, the traps that you get at Ace Hardware, they're so small. I mean, like daily, you've got to go out, but that trash can looks like a good way to do it. And another thing, somebody had told me put water in it with soap, and it'll help kill those bugs, help kill the beetles. But then you've got the issue of what do you do? How do you get rid of a trash can full of?
No, we can compost them. You know, we can compost them. So if you have a huge.
There is a poll question to know is everybody here know what the Japanese beetle is?
Oh.
You responded?
Yes. Now I know.
Now before.
Do you know, previously, did you know the insect or not?
Now I know. I saw the pictures and I think I see them in my garden.
Now, please pick them and then put them in some water and trash them or somewhere.
Yeah. I see few of them though.
Yeah. Yeah. They are going to keep on coming in the next couple of days. I've seen a lot in this farm. Today I saw many in this bush. And one thing is that, you know, they can feed on weeds, plants that we consider as weeds. You know, so if you have weeds around, cut those weeds, clean your area so that they will not have that food to be eaten, and then they will get big and then even mate and, you know, continue their development. So try to control weeds that you see around, and then they can be reduced.
Dr. Clement?
Yes.
I was wondering, we were talking about putting some traps possibly on campus.
Yes.
And would it be possible if anybody wants to come and see them? They don't have to come in groups, it's just for demonstration.
Yeah, we can do that. You know, if anybody is interested, we have plans to put some around, because today we saw some at the greenhouse. So, you know, if anybody is interested, please, you can contact us. You can contact Dr. Nadia or Dr. Gonzalez or any of the Lincoln faculty, and we'll be more than happy to show you what to do, you know, and then how to service because they can give a bad odor if you don't have a way of managing it. When you have many of them trapped, they can give a very bad odor, bad scent, and you don't want to have that in your home. So we can show you how to dispose of them, and, you know.
It seems like 9 responses, we get 3 people who didn't know what the Japanese or don't know at this point.
Okay.
And there is a little there's a beetle, a dog-bane beetle that does a lot like Japanese beetles.
What beetle is that? What did you say?
It's dog-bane beetle.
Oh,
it's
okay.
very similar. I'll show you some photos because I have it in my yard.
Yeah, yeah.
They come to the milkweeds.
Yeah.
And I actually have killed them thinking that they were Japanese beetles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just, but they're pretty easy
if
to
you don't know of the insect, we are all here. Mail them to me, or, you know, you can have my contact. You may, if you don't know about the insects, just put them in a Ziploc bag. Because we are within the same state, you don't need the permission to do that. So get it and then post them to me, or take a picture of it, send that to me. Sometimes using a picture is difficult because you want to see some features of the insect. So if you have the sample, it is very important for us, it is good for us to be able to identify. But if you can't and you take a picture of it, most of the time I'll be able to tell you what the insect is and where they are. Tell you about that.
We want to thank you, Dr. Clement, for helping us to understand agroecology and the use of methods to control pests.